Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're listening to the Brutal Truth Browns Bengals podcast featuring Angry Scott, Baby Driver Trey, and the casual fan that we all know and love, Kris. Gentlemen, how we doing?
What's happening, fellas?
Doing good, man. After 2-week hiatus, good to see everybody again.
Absolutely. Kris, did you go ahead and bet the mortgage payment on the Browns or the Bengals when you were out in Vegas?
I did not. I am not so much of a gambler, but I did put like $20 on each squad. So
nice.
There you go.
So was the Browns, was that to win or lose?
Oh, I did not bet on the Browns. Meaning Bengals and Ohio State. Sorry, let me clarify that.
I hear you. We'll get right into the Browns game. Why don't you get us started there, Trey?
Yes, sir. Got Atlanta Falcons. Don't want to give you a little jab, but my Atlanta Falcons, a little quiet about it. 23-20 win over the Brownies in the Dirty Bird in Mercedes-Benz. Rocking and rolling old man Cordell Patterson, 9 carries, 38 yards. Marcus Mariota, 7 for 19 for 139. Not a great game. He is who he is. I will be honest, they didn't have this game in my little market here. They had another game on, forget what it was. They had Buffalo Bills Ravens game. It's actually entertaining. And then I went to that trashy Carolina Panthers game, had free ticket, lower levels. So 23-20, I'll let it go over to you. Scott, I think you have more of a breakdown because you watched it. I will say my boy Nick Chubb, 19 carries, 118, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, Chubb, offensively, I'll say this. I mean, the way we played yesterday, we looked like we played very uninspired. You're not playing against world beaters right now in Atlanta, and everybody says, well, hey, you're 2-2. If I'm going to look at the positive side of things, we're still tied for the top of the division, right? With the Bengals are 2-2, Ravens are 2-2, Browns are 2-2, Steelers, 1-3. So that's from the point. But the thing is, when you're looking, even if the Browns would have went 4-0 in this stretch, I still wouldn't know anything about them because you had to win these games, and we won 2 close ones, and we had one super epic collapse. And this is just, I don't even know if Atlanta's really that good. If you're going to be any good, if you're going to be a playoff team, then you need to beat them. So I say offensively, Jacoby Brissett is, look, man, 21 for 35, 234 yards. Jacoby's been, decent. He's been better than that first week, but he also showed me now twice in the fourth quarter, he goes and he throws some gut-wrenching interceptions. So he did that in the epic collapse versus the Jets, and he did this again. So that kind of shows me why he's also, he has that issue in crunch time. So it kind of shows me, why he is a backup. Your boy, Nick Chubb, he had another good day at the office. They actually, if you want to say they contained him for 118 yards, but he was kind of contained, for what Nick Chubb usually does. And I heard somebody kind of talk about Kareem Hunt. He's like a little Tasmanian devil out there, but he had 50 yards and, so he also looked pretty decent. David Njoku had that fumble early on in the game, which hurt us. I think Jacoby forgot that Amari Cooper's on the squad. So it kind of reminded me
on a milk carton right here, 1 for 9. Wow.
Yeah, they just kind of forgot he was there. Maybe he was covered up, but it kind of reminds me of the days of Baker forgetting that OBJ was on the squad. So, I can't really put that necessarily on Cooper. I kind of put it on, hey, this is why you brought in Deshaun, which Deshaun would be out right now if he wasn't, showing his genitals to every massage therapist that came in. So, in the meantime, we're 2-2, and even if we were 4-0, I wouldn't say, hey, the Browns are just world beaters because, the schedule that's coming up, man, is tough. It is very tough. Offensively, I'm glad that Jacoby's on the team in terms of a backup. And the rest of it is, run the damn ball. But even then, I think Atlanta did a pretty damn good job. I'll say containing our 2 running backs. And then it's defensively, man, there are still concerns. Myles Garrett was, of course, out of the game because he flipped his Porsche a couple times. And I'm telling you, and we'll talk about it here when we get into the Bengals, but after Thursday night's game with Tua and the concussion and everything else, I think also everyone is saying, hey, let's not play anybody they don't have to, because that got a bunch of attention. Now he literally got in a car accident, and what was it, on Monday or something, and flipped his Porsche a couple times. Myles Garrett did, so he was out. One of my biggest concerns, though, man, I bring it back to Joe Woods. He's been there for a while, our defensive coordinator. The secondary is a real concern. I mean, Denzel Ward, former Buckeye, he did have an interception, but man, the secondary is disgusting to me. It's still an issue. It remains an issue. I mean, you let me ask you this, Trey. How good do you think Atlanta is? They're 2-2, but how good do you think Atlanta is?
I will say this: they've been ahead of schedule. My originally pick, I've texted people 4 or 5 wins. They're like they have no talent, but was it Arthur Smith? I believe I should know our coach's name. He's getting the most out of these guys. I don't know if that's good for the future, but they've been in all their games. They're spunky. I'll say they're scrappy with less talent. My only thing with them, not to go on a tangent here, dude, this guy needs to get more targets. Force it. Dude, he is like a nightmare matchup. He said last game he showed up, I think, 80 yards or 4 or 5 catches. I have him on fantasy. First 2 games, 2 receptions for 19 yards. Dude, force it in there to Kyle Pitts. What is this? And then the other guys, I don't even know half these other guys. Drake London, he didn't have a pulse. They're real high on him.
Oh, that's your guy's a new rookie, isn't it?
Yeah, he's from USC. I actually look at these stats. I don't know how they won this game, but my only thing is Kyle Pitts and Drake London needs to get more targets. I don't know if Mariota can't get it to him, but we're a scrappy 2-2, better than I thought. I'm thinking now 6-7 wins, but not a playoff team, to answer your question.
Well, see, that's my concern. My concern is, if the Browns have the talent to be a playoff team, then you need to be beating a team that you think is going to win 6 to 7 games. Yeah. And I also they bring out, so you have Cordell Patterson. They said during the broadcast repeatedly, oh, well, he's been converted from a wide receiver to a running back. I heard that nonstop. And then they bring out Caleb Huntley. He's like, oh yeah, I think it was either his first pro start or whatever. And there was a drive that I believe it was a 10-play, 70-yard drive, and all they never threw the ball. They just ran it down our throats. So, I will say this, man, Marcus Mariota, also a backup at this point in time in his career. Even though he's starting this year, it's kind of that bridge. So but he looked pretty good, but also again, he's playing against the Browns secondary. So what does that tell you? It doesn't tell me very much. So, Kris, do you have any thoughts on the Browns or anything that you saw?
Dude, I didn't see any of this game, but I'm looking at, again, if Cooper's supposed to be your number one guy, you give him 1 reception on 4 targets. How does that happen?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It comes back to coaching. I mean, we've had such piss poor coaching over the years that, Kevin Stefanski, I want to believe in him, but Joe Woods, if on the Jets game, if you weren't on notice, this is once again, like, what are you going to do? You've made these other offseason acquisitions. A couple years ago, you went ahead and tried to is it John Johnson? I always get John Johnson and Joe Woods mixed up, but John Johnson,
the
third, and Grant Delpit. Are you really living up to your billing? So, and right now I'd say no. But the other thing that comes we see this in the NFL all the time. It's like, oh, they scored too early. Oh, they scored too early. Well, that's good if you've got like Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or, yes, even Joe Burrow, or if you've got one of these other studs. But when you've got Jacoby, it reminds me a lot of Baker. And if he's going to go and take the ball down the field after that, yeah, you're going to have another gut-wrenching interception. I've seen it twice during crunch time. So that's my concern. But that's why he's your backup. So I don't know. I mean, the schedule's not going to get any easier. This was the easy part of your schedule, but I think we've got the Chargers coming up. So, maybe, and I don't wish it for anybody to be hurt or anything, but I think Bosa's out of that game. And I don't know if Justin Herbert is. Also, their coach is another boy genius. If he's on his 12-yard line and it's 4th and 3, he'll go for it. So you're hoping against most defenses, you think you want to get that, but when I look at the stretch coming up, man, we've got the Chargers, we've got the Patriots. The Patriots aren't as good as what they have been. We got the Ravens that, I don't know, the Ravens can be good for about 3 quarters. The 4th quarter, they choke on the chicken bone. So, and then the Bengals. So, we got a tough stretch, man. So, I wouldn't be surprised coming back. I think Deshaun's coming back in the Texas game. But you look at who we're playing. I mean, Chargers, Patriots, Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, Bills, Buccaneers. That is murderer's row. So even if we were 4-0 right now, I might say we would be 4-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I wouldn't be surprised if we were 4-6. So now I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 2-8, you know. So or maybe we get 2 wins in there. I mean, that's a tough stretch.
Hey, Scott, real quick, looking at that, like, what's the scenario that if you guys are completely out of playoff contention, do you sit Watson? Is it worth risking him, or what's the best scenario? Like, let's say you guys are 500 and you got to win out or win 4 or 5 of the last stretch or whatever. What are they looking like when he comes back since you're into the season for Watson?
I think you have to play him because he didn't play all of last year and most of this year. So then it's also, if you haven't played him that long, I think you got to play him. You know, now if he goes and that's the other thing that with that suspension that they went ahead and they though if I understand the suspension correctly, if they had to suspend him any more games beyond what they did, then his contract wouldn't count for this year. It'd just get bumped back a year. And with his signing bonus, it was only like, you know, they had a big signing bonus, so it didn't count as much to get the cap. So that's the reason they wanted to go. And with the Browns guaranteeing his $230 million and all his other accusations, that's why they have him come back. But it's like, dude, he's got to play. Yes, you're paying him a bunch of money, but you also got to play him because I don't know what we're going to get done right now. You know, it's murderer's row coming up. And it is, yes, we've had a couple close wins and we've had a couple close losses, but we also had, if you had one of these other stud quarterbacks, if you had Aaron Rodgers, Ron, or whoever, Josh Allen, you name it, you know, and they weren't Jacoby, then they could have went and, you know, driven down that last drive. So, I mean, the only thing I'll say is, you know, with the division, hey, we're still okay in the division, but right now the only way I see us getting in is winning the division. You know, the Bengals will get into them shortly, but they started out 0-2 and now they're 2-2. So, you know, I think I don't know if we already mentioned this, but you know who has the longest playoff drought in the AFC North? That is your Pittsburgh Steelers. And they ain't going to be broke this year.
Yeah, quick question on that since you brought it up. Mike Tomlin, a little bit of a warm seat because they're 1-3, and then looking at their schedule, they're going with a rookie, Kenny Pickett. I don't think Mitch Trubisky is not the answer. I think they got problems, and they got a murderer's row coming up. I was looking at their schedule.
Yeah, I think they have problems, Trey, but I think they give him a little more grace. I think Tomlin's going to get a little grace. He's had what was his run of making it to the playoffs?
He's never had a losing record since he's been.
There you go.
But hey, I'll throw this at you, Kris, because you've been there. Is he getting in that? Is it Marvin Lewis territory of, hey, we'll make it to the playoffs, but we're one and done. We're getting knocked out. Is he getting in that territory? Because that was your guy. Everybody's like, hey, you're getting the playoffs, but is he getting that?
Marvin Lewis. The difference is Marvin Lewis never won a Super Bowl.
There you go.
I think Steelers
or a playoff game. He never won a playoff game. So
I was talking about the longest losing. That's why I thought I was that losing streak. Sorry to bring that up, but like I think Steelers fans are getting a little short-term memory here.
I think they are, but again, they have to acknowledge they've had one of the longest tenured quarterbacks, and also I like to say one of the fattest quarterbacks in franchise history. So hey, they got to get used to it.
Hey, it was Slim Ben last year.
That's right.
Are you talking about their Big Ben?
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, he was only accused of 2 sexual assaults, not 24. But you know what's better than 2 and 24? 0.
Damn. There
you go.
Well, the other thing I'll say is, Kris, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean the Steelers as much as I hate them, they're just a better run organization. And
top
yes,
bottom,
I mean,
yeah.
And that's the other thing with Marvin Lewis is that yes, you could say he was doing more with not as much from an organization standpoint, but then your boy comes in now, Zach Taylor, and yeah, man, takes him to the Super Bowl. Was that his second year? Am I thinking about that right?
You're correct.
So that's the other side of it. I mean, you know, so I don't know. I mean, I think they'll give it through Tomlin through this year, and then after next year, it might be like, hey, you just want to retire because they don't really want to get rid of him because you know he's been to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll tell you this much though. After watching the game, Whether it was a huckleberry while playing around a golf or an elderberry after a Saturday night workout, I sure could use a Viva Tequila Seltzer. What about you, boys?
Yes, sir.
Nothing quenches my thirst like a Viva.
Yes, sir. Very tasty. Had one for the Georgia South Carolina game a couple weeks back. Very good. Should have drank it on the golf course when I was losing balls the other day. But I'm a partial fan to elderberry, huckleberry so far.
Well, let's get into the Bengals game on Thursday night. There really wasn't any coverage after Tua got hurt. I mean, all your other local news stations. I mean, I don't think they barely covered that game. Am I right?
Oh, for me, no, dude, it was Amazon Prime. Thursday Night Live, Amazon Prime.
Yeah. So what I was saying there is basically all I heard on Friday was why was Tua let back in? What's wrong with everybody? And I get it. I do. I understand that completely. But that was, we'll get into the game here, Kris, and I'll let you talk about it here first. But it was more about Tua and getting hurt than what it was the game itself.
It was. I think the big narrative was, can the Dolphins, take it to 4-0? Are they for real? Versus the Bengals, can they get it together? Are they still hungover from the Super Bowl? But yeah, like you said, it was a big focus on Tua, seeing how he played. But again, looking at the hit and everything, it was tough to watch. Clean play, though, I think. I mean, I don't think there was much else the defender could do while trying to take him down and do his job other than cradling him and, seeing him safely to the ground. But again, for the longevity of Tua's career, I hope they sit him out for a while, let the cobwebs clear, let his brain heal, and think about him for the long term. So I hope he does well. How about you, Scott?
When you saw his hands curl up like that, I've seen enough UFC fights. I'm sure you guys have as well, where I've seen the guys boom after they get knocked out, their arms kind of go stiff like that. Yeah. So, I mean, it was rough. It was tough to see, but it also, I keep on going back to this. I'm not trying to be a caveman and drag my knuckles on the ground, but it's a violent game. Yes. We talk about the UFC stuff and you can't take all the violence out of UFC. Question is, do you want to get in the cage? Now, should he had sat out? He absolutely should have sat out. They kept on saying it was a back injury and all this other bullshit. But end of the day, man, it was like somebody had to take the fall, and they fired like the doctor, the independent guy who, watched him or whatever. But I mean, somebody had to take the fall. I mean, the biggest thing I'll take out of the game, we talk about that real quick, is that, the Bengals now are 2-2. They had two close losses, they should have won week one, and then they lost to your boy Cooper. Who is it? Is it Cooper Rush? Is that
Cooper Rush?
The
4-0 Cooper there? Rush.
4-0. They're 3-1, man. Hey, the NF least. What is it? NFL least, wherever it is
NFC least.
It is rolling, man. Got that.
So you had two close losses, but then hey, you beat the Jets like you should, because the Jets are horrible. Only like a poorly coached team would lose to the Jets, and then you beat, yes, the undefeated Miami Dolphins. So, you've got the Ravens coming up here, Sunday Night Football next week. So, I mean, in terms of the game, the biggest thing I got out of it, and I watched a good part of it, but maybe not the whole thing, was from Tua. But I mean, how did you think that? It looks like Joe had 20 for 31, 287 yards. How do you think Joe played?
Joey B, the best part about that game was he stayed upright for the majority of it. Still don't love. He still takes some extracurriculars, but he's standing tall in the pocket, completing his passes. He only took one sack. So again, real happy about that. It's always good when you don't see your quarterback, writhing on the ground, thinking like, oh my God, did he twist another knee or did he do something else? So happy with how Joey kind of performed, still slinging that ball around. The one thing I didn't really love is Teddy Bridgewater coming in and just slinging the ball.
Teddy Two Gloves?
Yes, Teddy Two Gloves coming in, throwing for 193 yards. So didn't really love that part. But again, overall, I don't want to go into coach speak. Good team win. But pretty happy for our defense, especially my guy Von Bell. So 2 interceptions. If I was listening to a couple podcasts correctly, that was his first ever 2 interception game. So big win on him, or good celebration for him. This is just, you're seeing the defense really start to gel. 2 of my favorite guys on the defense again, Von Bell, huge character guy. When they brought him in, added a lot of leadership to the secondary, but also Logan Wilson coming in for 7 sacks. But if you guys ever get to watch a game again, he's always near the ball. He always knows where the ball is, and he's getting right back to where he left off last season and for most of this year.
Von Bell, former Buckeye, right?
That's right. Former Buckeye, Von Bell. What I still don't love, Joe Mixon, polarizing guy, but I don't know what is going on with him. 24 rushes, 24 totes, 61 yards. Not really moving the ball very much. Fortunately, he got a touchdown, but again, I don't know. I really don't know if he's just not seeing things well, but it's really puzzling. He's built like an all-star. He's built like a Pro Bowler. He's carrying himself like a Pro Bowler, but just something's not clicking. I don't know if it's offensive line kind of still figuring out how to read the O-line and time his blocks, but I don't know what's going on with this kid, especially with last game when P-Ron comes in on garbage time and I think out carries him.
Dude, for 24 carries, 61 yards, nothing.
I know.
2.5 yard average.
You might as well put in the third string guy. So I still have faith in my guy Mixon, but it's puzzling. And I hope he figures it out soon, because like you, Scott, the schedule is going to get tougher. And as it gets colder, we're going to have to start relying on the run game. And if Joe Mixon can't carry it. What's that?
What do you think, Kris? What do you think what's your Achilles heel right now on the Bengals? Is it still the offensive line? I mean, you've got the quarterback, you've got the wide receivers. Hopefully Mixon, starts to run the ball better. But where would you say your Achilles heel is? Offensively,
Achilles heel? Play calling. Old Zach T. Again, he's young. He's really transformed the culture, but when it really comes down to sound coaching decisions, you second guess them. So fortunately, Joey B and the team can do enough to pick up for him, but there are just certain situations that you can't cover up for. That, and also just, again.
So you're happy with the offensive line?
They're getting better. And you're starting to see it. They're starting to stand up and protect them more. You're seeing Joey B again. I think they're gelling. So Joey B's starting to understand when to get rid of the ball a lot better. And I think they're just building that trust and that relationship. Would I love a stronger O-line? Yes. But we got what we got, and I think we're making do with what we've got.
How much do you think Joe Burrow covers up for, I guess we'll say, Zach Taylor's,
inadequacies?
Inadequacies is the word I'm looking for. What I'm saying is, your quarterback was Baker Mayfield or Jacoby was, would he not look so smart? Because when they went, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they win like 1-2 games to get Joe in his first season? So is he really that much better of a coach, or does he just have Joe Burrow like another second coach on the field?
Joey B is like another coach on the field. I'm not saying he's, Bear Bryant out there, but Joey B, he covers up a lot. The guys have a lot of trust in him, especially Coach Taylor, but that's a glaring spot for us. Yeah, I don't know what else to really say on that one. The other thing is, again, our offensive drives, we got to learn how to finish, keep learning how to finish. Earlier in the season, we really struggled with just scoring we'd always make it to our side of the field, but it seems like we could never figure out how to punch the ball in the end zone efficiently and consistently. Hence this big investment in Evan McPherson. But again, two things: if Joey B or Evan McPherson, if something, heaven forbids, happens to them where they have to sit out for more than a few games, we're in trouble.
Hey, did you get the long snapper situation figured out?
We did. So Cal Adamitis.
I mean, what about defensively? Do you have what are your concerns defensively, or do you have any concerns?
Defensively, we could always DJ Reader went out, former Clemson Tiger, right? But he's going to be out for about a month, so that really hurts on our front end. So just again, defensive line depth, I think that's a little troublesome. I'd like to see a little more rotation in, especially when we start getting to the AFC North, the big uglies of the AFC North playing your Browns. You guys have a stout O-line, so that's going to worry me for matchups.
Yeah, but we don't always run the ball. I mean, it's I will say this though. I mean, it is a tough schedule coming up. It is the NFL. I think the Browns do have a tougher schedule, but at least what's coming up. I mean, you got the Ravens. Hey man, if you're within 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, I think you got a chance to get the Ravens. But the Saints, Chris Olave looking good. The Falcons, who knows, man? They're damn world beaters, but you should beat them. So, I mean, it's you have an easier stretch coming up here, with some breaks in there. But I don't know. It's still, I think the best chance of the Browns or the Bengals to make the playoffs is to win the division. I mean, do you see either one of them making a wild card run?
It's too tough, man. It's like you said, it's going to have to be, we're going to have to take it all.
Yeah.
So we got the Ravens coming up. We got to look, like you mentioned, leave it to the Ravens to crumble in the fourth quarter. I am curious to see how we'll play them this year. Last year we took them to the woodshed both times, but they were without Dobbins, they were without Marcus Peters, they were without Lamar Jackson that second game, I believe. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they hold up mentally.
Do you have any other thoughts there, Trey, on either one of the games, or at this point in time, what were you doing last Thursday?
Yeah, I was actually watching the game because I had Mixon, but my big question was, I texted Chris, how about those white jerseys in the whiteout? And I had my Steelers buddy saying, man, it looks like a bunch of criminals out there, but I kind of liked it. So I want to get your thoughts on that. And one other thing real quick, I think Jamar Chase, you got to get him some more targets because that kid's electric. I saw his numbers, 4 catches, 81 yards. Not sure if they might be targeting him or focusing on him more, but I know you got T. Higgins, but I just felt like you got to target him more.
Yeah, that's criminal.
Can I give you a quick thought on those?
Yeah.
If you were going to go with the white helmets and, they were going, who was it? You just came from Vegas. Was it Siegfried and Roy, right? Had the white tiger.
That's right.
Why not play against another team who doesn't have a white helmet in the Dolphins? So I don't think they really thought that one through, did they?
Well, yeah, logistics, right? Can't win them all, Scott. You can't win them all. But I will say I love the white helmets. As soon as they released them, I said, just take all my money. I will buy Bengals merch, white jerseys,
like it.
White helmets. Just, I love it. I love it. So what they may look like right zebras or white tigers or what's another one? The old school jail stripe uniforms. Just, it's awesome. It's long overdue. How about that? It was long overdue.
Chris, will you please go and do the next podcast in one of these white helmets, the white tiger helmets?
Right. Yes. Rydell helmets. If you would sponsor Brutal Truth, Bengals Browns, send me a white helmet. I'll wear it the whole freaking time. A la Ricky Williams.
I hear you.
In the interview.
The only other thing that I hate about Amazon Prime games is that I have to watch it live. It's like going back in a time machine that I can't press pause. I think I'm still trying to figure it out. I think you can record the thing, but then I think you have to watch it like the day later. Like if you come in like, oh, I missed the first quarter, there's no way to DVR it. You have to go and just watch it live. So I don't really care for that. But I'll say they're putting out better Thursday night games because otherwise, I don't have that much interest in Thursday night. But
there you go.
Any other thoughts, boys?
Hey, real quick, I know we're getting too close here. How about Al Michaels and Kurt Herbstreit, your Ohio State guy? Do you like that combo, or you think it's a little weird? What's your thoughts on the crew?
Still getting adjusted to it, but I'm a big fan of Herb Street. He's a Saturday morning or Saturday staple, right? But so he's not a stranger to the country, but I like it.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
Yeah,
How about you, Scotty?
I definitely like Michaels. And Herb's, Herbie is okay. It's still like, you could tell he does a lot of college games because he's just like, hey, why is there that Elfie Brown on the field? I'm like, yeah, they had this whole fucking story about it. But I mean, if they don't cover it in your 3-hour pregame show, College Game Day, then you're not gonna pick up on this. And then he's just like, obviously he has a lot to say about the Bengals. I think he was from, was it Centerville? So he was not too far from Cincinnati, or he's more of a Bengals fan. So I mean, it's still,
he's got a house there.
Yeah, it's still I think it's a pretty decent crew. It's not necessarily like the Monday Night Football guys, but I think it's still a pretty decent crew.
Oh yeah. So Trey, one more thing before we sign off here. Getting back to my guy Jamar Chase, he's gonna have to be patient.
Right.
It's Joey B's got some options, and teams are gonna have to pick their poison. But Jamar Chase, Chase is getting covered up, it seems like. So his opportunities are gonna be a little few and far between until they say, all right, well, T. Higgins, he's a little too hot. Let's switch coverage to him, and then that's when Boyd or Chase are gonna start getting off.
All right.
Don't worry, man. They'll both have huge games against the Browns secondary, so you don't have to worry about that.
We'll see. It's NFL, like you said, buddy.
Yes, indeed. Well, gentlemen, that is another episode of the Brutal Truth Browns Bengals podcast featuring Angry Scott.
We forgot. Make sure to rate and subscribe. I think we forgot about it. Subscribe.
That's right. Describe.
Yes, if you're still listening, which of course you should listen to the whole podcast, please like and subscribe.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys.
All right, fellas.
Good one.